right, welcome in. We are so glad you're here. Welcome to the 2025 National Farm to School Network Movement Meeting. I am so thrilled to be in this space with each of you today. Um, we're going to get started in just a moment, but we're so grateful to have an interpreter for Spanish here today. So I'm going to pass the mic to Diego to talk with y'all about how to opt into Spanish interpretation.
All right. Thank you, Sonny. Good afternoon, everyone. Diego Pons here today with Community Language Cooperative, the CLC. I'll give the instructions first in English and then in Spanish. I'll be the interpreter for today. So in a moment, after I give these instructions in both languages, the host of the meeting will start the interpretation. Once interpretation is activated, you're going to see a globe icon that will say interpretation that will appear there in the bottom right-hand corner of the toolbar there on your computer screen. That globe icon is going to say interpretation. I ask you to select it and to please select your preferred language. And again, that's going to happen in a moment. If you're joining the meeting today on your cell phone or tablet, please look for that More button or the three dots button, which you can find there in the corner of your device by swiping. So you can find that interpretation globe icon this way on one of those two devices. And as always, if you're not fully bilingual, please select your preferred language so you can listen to the interpretation in case someone were to speak in the opposite language. So thank you so much. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Yo soy Diego Pons, estoy aquí hoy con el COC. Voy a ser el intérprete para la reunión de hoy. En un momento se va a activar la interpretación. Cuando se active la interpretación, usted va a poder ver un icono de un globo de la Tierra que va a decir interpretación ahí abajo en la derecha de su pantalla. Yo le pido que por favor seleccione ese icono del globo de la Tierra y que por favor seleccione su idioma preferido. Si hoy está asistiendo a la reunión en su celular o en su tableta, busque por favor la opción que dice More, M-O-R-E, que quiere decir más en inglés, o un botón de tres puntos ahí en la esquina de su dispositivo, lo cual le va a permitir a usted elegir su idioma preferido de esa otra manera. Y como siempre, si usted no es completamente bilingüe, yo le aconsejo que por favor seleccione su idioma preferido para que pueda escuchar la interpretación cuando la gente está hablando en el otro idioma. Muchas gracias. We can get started now.
All right. Thank you so much, Diego. Gracias. We are so grateful to have you here today. Welcome, everyone. I am Sunny Baker. I am the Senior Director of Programs and Policy here at National Farm to School Network. And I'm based out of Little Rock, Arkansas. I use she, her pronouns. This is the lands of the Quapaw and the Osage. All of us are based all over the country. So if you're NFSN staff, could you give a wave here? We're tuning in from Michigan and California and Georgia, and you'll get to hear from a number of us today. What a wonderful opportunity to be in a space like this and with this collective energy to celebrate Farm to School in October. We do this every year. This year feels exceptionally meaningful to have this time to come together and really see some joy in our movement. We're talking a lot about challenges happening in our food system right now and in our world. And there's a lot to be concerned about and to work through. And it's also so important to spend that time in this joy space and to look at just how far we've come and the excellence in our movement. So I'm going to turn it over to Jiyun. She's going to talk a little bit about our theme and some things we have available to y'all this year.
Thank you, Sunny. We can move to the next slide. So hi everyone, I'm Ji-yoon. I'm NFSM's Communications Director. And yes, welcome again to our movement meeting and happy Farm to School Month. So every October we celebrate Farm to School Month, and this year's theme is Growing for the Future. This year's theme emphasizes the role that farm to school and early care programs have in creating thriving communities now and of course in the future. All of our futures depend on the farmers who feed us, take care of the soil and our waterways, and protect seeds for the next harvest. And by investing in the programs that support local farms, producers, fishermen, and ranchers, and of course allow school meal programs and early care centers to easily purchase food from them, we can create a thriving food future that puts people and our planet first. So yeah, farm to school and early care, it's about making sure that young children and students eat healthy, fresh, and locally grown meals in schools, and that farmers earn a reliable source of income by feeding their direct community. That's what our work is all about, and why we're so excited to be here today with all of you to energize and inspire the movement. And of course, we do have a lot of free resources available for you all. Each year, we release a celebration toolkit that has a lot of stuff in there on how to celebrate, free graphics, templates, all of that. We also host a community-submitted calendar of events and webinars on our website. And if you can go to the next slide, please. We also do have a collection of free downloadable resources, artwork that includes like the stickers and bookmarks and posters that you see. And all of these resources and artworks is for you all, so definitely please feel free to use them, share them widely to help you and others celebrate Farm to School. I'll pass it back to Sunny.
Thanks, Jiyun. I always say, like, kids will do just about anything for a sticker. They'll eat just about any new food. So be sure to download those stickers. And I love that we've worked with this artist to really feature some new farm to school products like starfruit and fish and all of that. So that's who's here from our team. And let's go to the next slide here. We want to see who's in the room. Some of you have already started doing this, but tell us your name, where you're coming from, your org, and if you want to tell us some more about what you're doing to celebrate Farm to School Month too, that'd be great. Next slide. So, National Farm to School Network is primarily a network. What we do is help connect people to do this type of work, and our network spreads far and wide. We've even got some international members at this point, but I did confirm this morning we officially have every state in the country covered. In terms of our National Farm to School Network partners and our partner network. So that's over 500 partners across the whole country, representing sovereign nations and even some international partners as well. If you would like to join as a partner, we'll have a QR code later today, but we would love to have you. It is free to join. In addition to our partner network, we have over 20,000 network members of NFSN. We're supported with a national staff that's, like I said earlier, based all over the country. And we have an advisory board as well that helps guide our work and our strategy. Next slide. So like I said, we connect people to people, we connect people to information and people to advocacy. So we hold a huge resource library on our website where you can find just about anything you need to do farm to school in your community. Our policy team is here for you to help break down what's happening politically and with legislation to help understand how farm to school fits into the broader policy landscape and then help give you a voice at the state and federal level. And we want y'all to know one another. So we do this movement meeting every year, but we also have a lot of other opportunities to engage with our network with webinars on specific topics. For our partners, we do regular living room sessions where we invite y'all to a virtual living room. And then, y'all, the conference is back. If you have never been to a National Farm to Cafeteria conference, you are in for a real treat this year, this December. So if you have not registered for the conference yet, please get on there and join us in Albuquerque in December. Next slide. And through this investigation and this polling that we've done of our partner network and who we are representing as a National Farm to School Network, we determined that we needed to set this call to action for the food system. And our call to action is that 100% of communities will hold power in a racially just food system. So this guides all of the work that we do, and we really want to be a part of a movement that sees farm to school, farm to early child care as a vehicle, as a way of getting towards this call to action. And we extend this call to action to our network of food systems folks as well. So let's get started with our speakers and panel. I'm gonna pass it. Oh no, let's look at our agenda for today. We've got an incredible lineup. Zachariah Ben with Bidii Baby Foods is gonna speak. We're gonna launch into a panel about environmental stewardship in farm to school. We have this really fun video to share with you, and the star of the video here with us in the room today. We'll launch into some policy updates, and then we'll close out hearing from our co-executive directors. So for now, I'm going to pass it over to our farm to early child care specialist, Hawthorne McCracken. Hawthorne, take it from here.
Thank you so much, Sunny. I am Hawthorne McCracken. My pronouns are they, them. I'm coming to you from southwestern Wisconsin, Ho-Chunk territory. And as our Farm to Early Care Program Associate, I am thrilled to introduce someone who is not only working to serve the littlest members of his community, but also to introduce new and young farmers to the career and help support them. So Zachariah Ben is the owner and co-founder of Bidii Baby Foods, a Navajo-owned baby food company created by farmers and new parents to reconnect early childhood with traditional indigenous foods. Zachariah is a sixth-generation farmer and sand painter from Shiprock, New Mexico. He is of the Giant people, born from the Red Running into Water clan. His maternal grandfather's clan is the Red House people, and his paternal grandfather is of the Salt people. Zach has over 15 years of experience in traditional Navajo farming and is the co-founder and owner of Bidii Baby Foods. Bidii Baby manufactures a product line of organic indigenous baby foods, and Zach also manages a 30-acre organic farm in Gadiai, New Mexico. Zach also serves as a consultant with WESST, where he supports other indigenous entrepreneurs as they establish their business. Zach, I am so excited to see what you've brought to share with us today.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me. What an honor it is to talk with you all this evening and present about our work, our initiatives here within the state of New Mexico and on and off the Navajo Reservation here in the Four Corners region. So yeah, today, Sha'e Zachariah Ben Yanishia, Yae Dina Inishla, Ozay Tachini Bashichin, Titachini Dashiche, Ashihin Dashnele. So my name is Zachariah Ben. I was born and raised in Shiprock, New Mexico. We started Bidii Baby Foods as an agricultural cooperative here on the Navajo Nation and focused in the northern region of the state of New Mexico. We are passionate farmers and parents seeking to build a sustainable baby food business that nourishes our children with organic ancestral foods. Producing and marketing these foods to young children and scaling up production to meet the demands of all Navajo children will have a huge return on investment and impact over time. So our core values is high quality organic foods, early childhood nutrition, safe and abundant environments, access to traditional knowledge, regenerative farming practices, and community over capitalism. Our mission and vision as Bidii Baby Foods. So we envision a community where traditional indigenous foods are plentiful and accessible in early childhood and beyond. Our mission is to reconnect indigenous families with our long-standing relationship between earth and parenting. We believe that there is a direct connection between nurturing the land and nurturing our children. By understanding how to grow traditional crops and preparing them for young children, we're actively dismantling systems of oppression and rematriating indigenous food waste. So talk about growing for our future. A lot of this was inspired by our own children during the pandemic when we had our firstborn during that time. And it really motivated us to increase that access to healthy traditional foods and while sticking to these core values. And that's what really developed into this wonderful, amazing opportunity of creating intergenerational wealth through farming practices, but also how to prepare these foods. And from there, creating a mentality of thriving over surviving. So our product offerings, we produce around 2 tons of product annually. We have fresh produce that has a variety of heirloom seeds and crops that we work with. And so we have a variety of squash, a variety of melons. And then from there, our main crop would be the Navajo Indian white corn. We do seed rematriation and seed saving efforts by planting like a variety of Pueblo blue corn. From there, we also established Oaxacan green corn in this area as well, and grew these crops quite well. And so from there, we were able to then redistribute them back to the original communities that started with those crops. From there, we have dehydrated baby foods, baby toddler puffs, nishtiji, which is the Navajo dried seam corn. That goes through a value added process where we will go um, collect and harvest our corn ears, and then from there we would then steam that and cook that underground. We would then take that out, dehydrate that, and then from there start its packaging journey from there. We have a variety of cornmeals. We'll have white cornmeal, roasted and unroasted. Same for the blue corn, some Oaxacan green corn, Navajo white corn, and then from there the nishtiji. From there we'll be able to um, mill that down and use that, whether it be a coffee creamer or the Bidii Baby Foods base. So 10% of our sales are direct to consumer, cash itinerant sales back over in the farmers markets, the local flea markets, online stores that we have, but also distributors around around the United States here. About 80% of our sales are institutional, so schools, childcare centers, food banks, elder care facilities, Indian Health Service, and then from there, looking into the filling up our 10% with the retail options of, Bashe, La Montanita Co-op here in New Mexico, the Natives Food Lab out of Minnesota, Takabe Meals Ready to Eat out of Denver. So those are some of our options here. So some of our successes. So number one is our classroom-based teaching. So we like to say that education is a critical component to getting these healthy traditional foods out into our children's bellies. And so in order to do that, it's by educating our children on where that food comes from, where they understand that the farmer is a person. It's not the tractor, and being able to represent and bring community together through these efforts of education. Number two is our land-based learning. So students come to the farm for hands-on learning, engaging in farm activities and traditional food preparation. So here we'll be able to bring the students onto the farmland, give them an idea. We'll have like planting events, seed saving events to then we'll cook together, where we'll be able to prepare meals together. So the ones here pictured, we have a vase that is a handmade pot that was made specifically to cook stews in an ancestral way. So that pot was handmade, cooked, and everything, and so that's where we were able to make our stew in that. From there, we are in alignment with a lot of the constellations at this time. So this is our kickoff of our summer solstice event. And so that goes by the constellations and the movement of the sun and the moon. And so with that, we celebrate that with our harvest. And so you can see here in the photo, we have kneel down bread where we'll cut a lot of the corn kernels off, mush that up, make it into a bread, pack that into the corn husks, sort of like a very similar process as a tamale. And from there we'll be able to then lay that on the heated earth and then create the nail down bread once we cover that up and cook on top. So those are just some of the grand examples of, how land-based learning and being able to, have that connection to the land, to the farmer, and to our food all at once. Number three, our dietitian is a huge component in, getting our getting our foods into the school districts. And so Danae Bex with Tumbleweed Nutrition has been critical in this development of recipes, nutrient analysis, nutrition labeling, and being able to uh, teach not only us as farmers, the necessary steps to get the farm in large quantities and into the cafeteria, but also teaching the cafeteria staff on how to develop, prepare, and ready these foods at large quantities. And so it's been quite the amazing partnership there, and being able to go through and apply for grant funding together, so that way we can cooperatively bring these funding resources into the community, and get more producers involved, because 2 tons could only feed so many mouths. And so being able to bring in more farmers to help aggregate these areas of things and continue those certification efforts. And I think that's some of our huge successes that we've had, and quite amazing so far. So some of the challenges. Um, I think from here, number one is access to capital, specifically on tribal land. So federal trust land prohibits access to capital. So if you want to leverage a lot of your assets in the agriculture environment on reservation-based or tribal lands or federal lands that you're subleasing or leasing from, it can be quite deterring when you have 40 acres to operate on, but you can't even leverage that to get a loan or grants to scale up your agricultural business. Number two is infrastructure and policy. So Navajo Nation does not have does not have a publicly accessible food manufacturing facility on the reservation, nor does it have policies or regulation to have oversight over the production side of these agricultural products that we create. Number three, access to land and water. So agricultural land use permits are not regulated and they idle. So no quantified water rights as well. So there's no meters on our water to quantify, how much we use and don't use. And so, with those, with the inadequate um, irrigation methods and lack of funding to, in a way, revamp a lot of these older 1950s irrigation methods, we have to rely on what we currently have, which can be very troublesome in times when the pump goes out and the whole irrigation for 3 communities goes down. And when it goes down, it's down for like maybe a couple of weeks. By then, your cornfield would have sustained enough damage to not grow anymore. So from there to number four, scalability and sustainability. So the average age of a farmer on the Navajo Nation is 68 years old, and they make up about 70% of our farmers here on the reservation. So we need more young people to train and gain access to 1 in 3 and above of these challenges. Number, next slide, please. So our solutions, what we've navigated and basically in a way, trailheaded a lot of these areas, trailblazed a lot of these areas is number one, access to capital. So as a for-profit business, Bidii Baby Foods is registered as an LLC. So with that, there's only so much opportunities that you can create, but we are very community oriented. And so with that community orientation, we're able to apply for funding by, going through the nonprofit route. So the nonprofit is able to fiscally sponsor the Bidii Baby Foods and our young farmers that we surround ourselves and are training through our farm and residence program. So it becomes this hybrid business model where you have the LLC on one side, the 501(c)(3) on the other. They're separate. They have separate accounting. They have separate bank accounts. They have separate owners and directors on the side, but they go hand in hand because they're able to create opportunities that are related to getting access to healthy traditional foods throughout the region here. Number two, infrastructure and policy. So build and operate the first traditional food manufacturing facility adjacent to the Navajo Nation. And adjacent is, in a way, more sustainable, as we won't have to rely on a tribal lease, which the max of a lease is 25 years. But if we're adjacent to the Navajo Nation and we buy private land, we'll own it indefinitely. And then from there, we'll be able to aggregate agricultural products that come off the reservation and are then distributed and fulfilled through this new facility. Number three, access to land and water. So sublease agreements or tribal land or access to private land owned and leased. So sublease agreements have been getting us by on the tribal lands. And so instead of going through the whole formal process, which could take 5 to 10 years to finally transfer farmland, a home site lease, or grazing rights on over to the next generation, who's going to wait 5 or 10 years? So in order to move around that, to navigate around that, we were able to get sublease agreements in place for the land use permit holders, and that's how we were able to then access immediately tribal land to create these farms and then start aggregating through these products of healthy traditional foods. And then from there, start to lease or own private land off reservation in order to, of course, have those certifications in place, um, the ability to scale up. And from there, number four, that kind of reaches into there. So the Farmer in Residence program for young Indigenous farmers, cooperative farming, and aggregation of produce and value-added products. So, being able to train up these young individuals, young farmers, and then from there they have the ability to create their own brand, and of course that creates more economic opportunity, or just aggregate and just sell their crops to us, and then from there we'll be able to scale what we are able to then produce for the year. So that concludes the end of our presentation here, and happy to share more information. So please take down our contact information. We're happy to, help guide other young farmers, farmers that are struggling with some of these certifications in place and navigating tribal problems as well on or off the reservation. So, please reach out. We're happy to answer any questions related to our solutions, our challenges, and, how we can grow together for the future. So, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Zachariah. I really love seeing those challenges laid out and met one by one with your solutions. So we really appreciate your time today in sharing all of the fabulous programming that you are doing with your community in New Mexico. I am now going to pass it over to Trisha Bautista, who is our programs director, and she will be moderating our panel. Trisha, take it away.
Thank you so much, Hawthorne, and thank you, Zach. We're so excited to have you join us in our conference later this year too, and thank you for sharing your amazing work. So inspiring. All right, so moving us on to this next section of our movement meeting, we are joined by folks who are doing amazing on-the-ground climate-smart practices embedded in Farm to School. I'm so delighted to have them here with us today for about 20 minutes for this panel, completing the food system loop here, starting from our rancher doing beef to school activities, and also former NFL player Doriel Harris. And then this is followed by Chris De La Torre from Cultivate Collective, who has done great work in the school food cafeteria and making spaces like these welcoming and holistic for students in the surrounding community. And then Lauren Click, who started a nonprofit focused on composting called Let's Go Compost. Also, I saw Lauren Click was in Rome recently presenting at the UN World Food Forum. So amazing to have you all three here. With that, I guess let's start this panel with some brief introductions. If you could share your name, where you're calling home as your home, and tell us about the work that you're doing in it, what it means for you to center environmental stewardship. So maybe let's start with Doriel, and then we'll go to Chris, and then Lauren.
My name is Duriel Harris. I'm a cattleman in Ville Platte, Louisiana, and we are in the Farm to School program here. And last year we made the transition into the program, and we were blessed with great help and great people. We finished #1 in the state of Louisiana our first year in the program. We sold more beef than any other producer, so I'm really proud of my team and our practices, and we're seeing big dividends from what we're doing here. We look forward to just keep it up and keep going.
Thank you, Duriel. Let's hear from Chris.
Hi, everyone. So grateful to be here today. And Zachariah, so wonderful to hear about the work you're doing in New Mexico. I am based in Chicago, where we operate a 6-acre campus focused on sustainability and how we integrate that into our school food program and farm to school concept. We have 2 acres of diversified vegetable production on site. We have rainwater catchment systems that capture rainwater through bioswales and a pitched roof, and we cycle that water into our facility to flush all of our toilets. So, there are a number of things that we do to kind of support and take a very holistic approach to environmental sustainability and farm to school connections. So there's the farm, there's a teaching garden, there's a water catchment. We produce 107% of our energy. So there are solar panels that line our campus and our roof. And we have a robust composting program that's not only focused on sort of educational and competencies in our school garden, so students are really doing a lot of hands-on learning. We're partnered with an organization to make sure that our school food also goes to compost. So I love what Tricia said about, each one of us kind of represents a different piece of this closed loop cycle, and really honored to be speaking with both you, Lauren, and Duriel today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. I hope you're staying warm in Chicago. I know it's probably getting into the fall months. But hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Click. I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona. And as Tricia mentioned, I'm the founder of Let's Go Compost. We're a 501c3 nonprofit that supports more than 200 schools in 27 states across the country with free composting education rooted in STEM-based learning. I think that all of our work is rooted in environmental stewardship and sustainability. And I was inspired to create my nonprofit a few years ago when I noticed the lack of affordable and accessible composting infrastructure for public schools, who are, as I'm sure most of you know, very large collective groups of food waste producers in the country. And then if you weren't aware, food waste is linked to methane emissions, which is one of the most toxic greenhouse gas emissions linked to climate change. So that kind of closes the loop on how we use STEM-based learning to make a real environmental impact.
Thank you for all those introductions. I feel so lucky to be working in this space and hang out with you people, like individuals like yourselves who are doing such amazing work, not just for the community, but for the environment. Let's start with Duriel. We want to learn more about the work that you're doing. So what do you think? And we have about, 130 people on the call today, and I'm sure many more will be tuning in to watch the recording. But what do you think is needed from food system practitioners and school communities in general to make work like yours successful? And so how can school communities support farmers and ranchers in this type of farm to school effort?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with such a great group of people. And by the way, I have to say that Zachariah, that blew me away, what he's doing with the Navajo tribe. I went to college in New Mexico, so when he mentioned that, it just caught my attention. But what a great job he's doing. What we're doing, we're working with these schools, and we're trying to provide them with locally grown grass-fed beef. We don't use any steroids or chemicals in our cattle. Luckily, we have a climate down here that we can graze our animals about 10, 11 months out of the year. And then we can go to hay. Well, I know some operations up north, they maybe have only 2 or 3 months of grazing period. So by being where we are, it helps out a great deal. And I got into cattle, I guess, for all the selfish reasons. I just wanted to have a place of my own. But once I got involved, I quickly found out that there were so many challenges and struggles going on for farmers. So I thought I would get involved and try to use the little platform I have for my professional football career to try to shed some light on what's happening. And so far, it's worked out really well. I was appointed a wildlife ambassador for the state of Louisiana. I got to go and visit co-ops around the state and trying to get them to change. Luckily, I've only been in farm for about 7 years, so it wasn't a big change for me. But when you're talking to people who second, third generations, they're used to doing it a certain way and they don't want to change. Well, because I came in it so late and so new, I had to accept the change because that's the way it was today versus 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So learning about the soil and learning about cover crops was really important for our success. I didn't know anything about it. I was concentrating on the genetic side of it, make sure I had the right cattle, the right bull, and things of that sort. But once I learned more about it, I realized there was so much more to raising cattle and good cattle besides just your bull and your heifer. I mean, the soil, I learned all about the important role it plays, learned about soil compaction, learned about rotational grazing. I would see cattle out there in the field grazing, just walking all over the place. And I wondered why. Well, I found out that, that pasture was like a buffet to them, and they go to the crops they like most first. Then they come back and eat the things that least desirable to them. So by rotational grazing, you divide your pasture into like smaller parcels. It forces the cattle to eat everything in that section. Then you move them to the next section and let them graze there. By doing that, you're increasing the amount of cattle you can run on your acreage. You're helping cut down on the fly problem because if the cattle just stay next to their waste or manure, the flies take 7 to 10 days to fetch. They become flies. But by constantly moving the cattle, you move them before those flies can hatch. Now you don't need the chemicals to kill the flies. So it's so much you benefit by just knowing more about the environment, the land, the soil. I thought all weeds were bad. I come to find out, no, they're not. Some of them are great for your pasture. So it's just been an amazing journey for me to learn what I have about this business in a short time. I challenged myself to arm myself with information. And then I'm competitive from sports. So I took the information I had and ran with it. And I think that led to our success this year. And so that's just the only way I know to go about it. You have to get out there and learn as much as you can. I attend all the workshops, the seminars. And the biggest problem we have as a producer is the lack of processing facilities is a bottleneck. I've got to make my appointments a month ahead of time and pick my dates for the rest of the year. And sometimes those school nutritionists and administrators, they want to wait till the last minute to place their order. And like you've got a big warehouse full of food. It doesn't work like that. We don't process our animals until we get the orders. It takes about 2 weeks for the processor to get it and a week for us to deliver it. So I had to have a logistics hat on my shoulder and be able to set everything up with the schools, set up with the processors, and then set it up with the distribution part. So it's been a big learning experience. Somehow we survived it. So we learned a lot, and we want to just apply that to this year. And I really feel like this is where I was supposed to be. I'm the son of 2 educators. My mother taught school for 30 years. My father coached me in high school. So that's where the football side came from. But to be back delivering food to the schools, it really makes me feel, well, that's where I need to be, because I come in contact with these students and they're amazed to meet a former professional athlete. So I use that to talk to them about farming, because everybody can't be a professional athlete. So I try to let them know there's a lot of career opportunities involved in farming, not just a farmer, but, from sales, from scientists, biology, just try to get them to look at it because I think I have a responsibility now that I'm into this, that I need to do what I can to bring another farmer into the fold, a young farmer, because as an African American, the Black farmers will be extinct if we don't do something about it. So I want to do my part to help out and to provide all the kids with the nutrition they need. And eventually we'll be able to get some school field trips to the ranch and let them see it firsthand. But right now, we just try to go out and tell them about it and let them know there's a great opportunity. And I'm just, like I said, I'm so happy that we're doing this. I'm providing a great product to kids, I'm not hurting anybody. So it makes you feel good inside that you're doing something positive. I've had some career jobs in the past where it wasn't always that way, but to do something like this where you're actually helping the young people, because they're our future. So I'm just thrilled to be doing what I'm doing, and I don't want to do anything else but the farm to school side of it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Duriel. There's so much wisdom in what you just shared. And I don't know if you noticed, there's so many emojis popping up, reacting to all the things that you're saying. incredible work, and I heard a lot about the importance of partnerships, learning from each other, and approaching things. There's so much we can learn from the community and the very people that we interact with. So thank you. Yeah, I'll invite Chris and Lauren to chime in here. Anything, that's sparked up for you, or yeah, about your work, how you're maybe connected with the work that Duriel is doing.
Can jump in very briefly to say, Duriel, I love your story, and your operation is exactly the type of place our organization would be looking to partner with. One of the things that's important about our commitment to environmental sustainability is we serve roughly 75% plant-based protein focus on our menu so that we can allot dollars to invest in high quality animal proteins and connect our students with the origins of their food, but also choose partners as best we can who have a story to tell about their animal husbandry practices and why their relationship to their animals, to livestock, to the food on the plate, why it all fits into an environmentally sustainable focus. So just love to hear from you, and we're going to weave you into one of our classes someday. So you wait. We'll
Thank
be in
you.
touch.
Appreciate it.
Well, and Lauren, for you, I'm really just inspired by the work that everyone's doing here. Like we were talking about when in preparation for this panel, like we heard Duriel, your farm to school partners in Louisiana is increasing in numbers. And then Lauren was like, we just gained a bunch of new partners from Louisiana. So just amazing to see sort of this growth happening and the cross promotion that happened in preparation for this panel. But Lauren, so amazing to hear your efforts about how Let's Go Compost started, how it's going right now. So I wanted you to kind of touch base on what are some examples of pilot projects that you've done with high rates of success that you want to highlight for our audience here today.
Definitely, and thank you so much for saying that, and Duriel. It's so exciting to hear about your work and being able to connect our students back to the farm and not just seeing education and the school and infrastructure as two separate components, but really blending them together to create broader institutional change is so inspiring. I know we only have a few minutes and I can talk about composting for hours. So going back to the question of how did we kind of get started and the model that I use, I'm really passionate about having low cost, low tech, subscription-free models for composting and food waste education that can start small, very low cost, if not free, for schools and teachers who might be passionate but might not have district level approval for something larger. Have a really high success rate early on. Like Duriel mentioned, having the kids involved in every step. Again, not seeing waste living on side B and kids and learning on the side A, right? Everyone's working together and using the cafeteria and those trash cans as living labs. So going quickly over three options that I wanted to come up with today for about $25 to $50. If you want to learn about composting in your classroom, you can look up DIY bucket worm compost bins. You'll just need 2 buckets and a cup of worms. It's entirely how I got my nonprofit started a few years ago during COVID. And it's just such a fun project to get kids involved, and it's something that they can replicate at home, and it works year-round indoors. So if you're in the middle of Phoenix in the summer or somewhere cold in the winter, it's wonderful. If you're not into worms, do not worry. I have 2 other options. The first is having a food waste reduction pledge signed by your students, really having them understand all of the hard work that our farmers have put into their food, and even the people who are transporting the food, right? There's a lot of work and emissions and water and energy that go into our food, and educating students about that can directly reduce their food waste at the cafeteria with edible food, making sure that it's eaten and enjoyed and not feeding the landfill. And then last but not least, I know share tables are always a really hot topic. Some schools have had share tables, some have ended after COVID. Just kind of revisiting that topic if it ended at your school, learning why. For a lot of reasons, it stopped in 2020 and just never started back up again. So I really encourage you all to make sure that food is being eaten and enjoyed and then compost it. But I'll leave my contact information in the chat as well if anyone wants to talk about larger initiatives.
Thanks so much, Lauren. And I'll kick it over to Chris here. You all are doing really amazing work, and I know you just released a really cool school food transformation toolkit. And so I wanted to ask, how can we make this type of work that you do approachable or replicable for unique communities? And how did you approach your work in transforming the school menu? And I know there's not a lot of time here, but just like briefly, and maybe it could spark an idea here for somebody.
Absolutely. And what I would encourage, if anybody is interested in just talking about what resources are out there to integrate more plant-based options that center and celebrate protein, dense, nutritious grains, fruits, and vegetables, I will leave my information and you can just feel free to reach out. But part of the roadmap that we created over this 3-year transition period, so for 17 years, we were operating with more traditional school food menu, centered animal proteins every single meal, all days of the week, for often breakfast and lunch. And we saw an opportunity as an institution to reduce our carbon footprint by increasing fruits and vegetables and grains on the menu while still being within the federal meal pattern. So we feel you. It sometimes can be very discouraging to get creative, especially if you're really relying on feeding your community through federal reimbursements. We are a Title I school, CEP school, so we've designed this roadmap so people can pick and choose processes out of similar to what we did and apply it in your context. So it's not a one size fits all. It's really about the process and a lot around engaging our students and our families to understand attitudes, fears, excitement, places of joy around eating. So happy to share that. It's open source. It does live on our website. And the idea is to really just give people even one thing to implement to shift your meal program towards something that results in more nutritionally dense, more culturally relevant, and reduce your carbon footprint through school food and institutional meal programs, because that's a huge lever, and we'll have a part to play. And then it becomes an education tool as much as a way to fuel your students. And that's what we're all here for, right? Is like, how can we capitalize on farm to school, getting students outside, getting students to sit at the plate, and really think about what it means in the bigger picture. So thank you so much and really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And I know part of our conversations that you shared too that made me think really differently about cafeterias is how do we make cafeterias feel welcoming and like a lively place for students and families within the community. Well, we're coming up on time here. In my mind, I thought 20 minutes will be just fine for a panel, but it flew by. It's been such a delight to have you all here today. So why don't we just close out this panel with just final words or things you want to share or invite folks in the audience to connect with you. And perhaps I can start with Duriel. Yeah, any final words that you want to share to the audience?
Yes, I was really blown away by the cafeteria staff. I have over 15 districts, probably represent over 125 schools, and you talk to the front office to get the contracts, but the real workers are the cooks there. And down south, they're still cooking a lot in the kitchens and the cafeterias, whereas up north, they're not. So I just want to say these ladies are amazing. They let me introduce a couple of new items to them this year. We introduced beef stew meat to them, and they were able to make like beef tips and gravy, loaded baked potatoes, just different things. So I just found it a real joy to work with them. You go there, it smells good. Make me not want to go back to work, but they're just amazing, and I enjoyed meeting them. And they're really the backbone of the operations. They don't get the publicity because they're behind the scenes, but without those cooks at those schools, those kids would be in big trouble.
Thank you so much for doing that shout out. Really appreciate it. Yes, yeah, let's honor our food cafeteria staff members. Lauren, final words for the audience.
I think the cafeteria food service workers and janitorial workers do so much behind the scenes, and having them on board for any sort of composting program is so critical. We don't just champion our students learning and their parents learning at home, but getting everyone involved and making sure that they're not just being told that there's a composting program, right? They're understanding the importance of it and the impact that it's having in their direct community for their students and for the planet. But thank you all so much for allowing me to chat today. I'm so inspired. I'm like writing down as many things as I can so I don't forget. And I'm excited to watch the rest of the webinar today.
Yes, thank you, Lauren. And over to you, Chris.
I am jumping on this bandwagon and will also shout the praise for our support staff, our culinary team, janitorial. They're also educators in the space, and often the people serving your student their food notices so much about that student's day, right? Like, are they coming with the same energy? Who are they sitting with? Is it someone different? Are they always hungry? And really, these individuals are one of our first lines of defense to making sure that all students have equitable access to nutritious, high quality food and that it is dignified in the way that we serve it and we take care of them every day. So, yeah, not enough can be said for these people who show up and are often underappreciated. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, and hope to see you in December in Albuquerque.
Yes, yeah, truly. Thank you, Duriel, Lauren, and Chris for joining us in this very brief panel. Our hope is truly to showcase the work, the very unique, amazing work that each of you are doing. And as you can see, there's so many reactions coming up on Zoom here, and I'm sure people will be reaching out. So thank you all so much for sharing your time with us. All right. With that, I think I'm supposed to pass the mic over back to Sunny for this next really cool thing that we tend to do during these movement meetings, which is showcase a virtual field trip. So back over to you, Sunny.
Thank you, Trisha and Chris and Duriel and Lauren. Dang, that was really awesome. And I just love those words that y'all left us with. Janelle Manzano, can you come on camera if you're around? And then can we get Janelle to spotlight here? That'd be great. I'm excited to tell y'all about this virtual field trip that we have this year. It's connected to a program that we launched in the past couple years. So my origins in farm to school world were as a farm to school coordinator. It's a job that school districts are establishing more and more of across the country as someone who can help bring all of these pieces together that are so vital to making farm to school and farm to early childcare programs really. So someone that can help connect with farmers, help run in the cafeterias and get kids to try new foods, who can connect with the groundskeeping to help with gardens, just really be someone to connect and network across a whole school district and a community. And we have one of them in the room with us today, Janelle. So glad to have you here. And so grateful to have been able to launch our Farm to School Coordinators program over the past couple years with support from the USDA and the Lifetime Foundation. That program helped connect farm to school coordinators from across the country. And then we launched with our partners at Shelburne Farms, a farm to school leadership academy. And Chris, we became pals with Chris during that program too. And our coordinators participated. And we're about to launch the second round next week, which is so exciting. So yeah, we wanted to feature Janelle and the San Diego Unified School District Farm to School program this year for our virtual field trip. And Janelle, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that experience and about your program, and then we'll play the awesome video.
For sure. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's afternoon here in California for me. So nice to see y'all again, the National Farm to School team and my fellow folks from the cohort, including Chris. Nice to see you guys. Yeah, my name is Janelle Manzano. I am the Farm to School Program Coordinator for San Diego Unified School District. Basically, a farm to school coordinator, longer words, all that jazz. I've been with Sandy Coast Cafe, or our Food Nutrition Services department, for about 7 years now. And this was so very sweet of National Farm to School Network to want to feature our program as part of their virtual field trip this year. So it's really neat to work with your colleagues at Red Square to create the video. I'm excited to see it. But yeah, so we at San Diego Unified are a large urban school district with about over 200 schools that we serve through our food and nutrition services program. I sit with the food team, the food department, the dietitians, the chefs, I work with the farmers to help with and support menu planning. But a big part of my role is mainly education. And as a large district supporting many schools in a very large city with different backgrounds and whatnot, I need to really rely on my community garden educators and classroom teachers to help with the education. And my biggest thing that I like to focus on is making sure the education really does connect back with what's on the school lunch menu, because a lot of our students, as you guys know, rely on the school lunch and they see it every day. It's what they're familiar with. And we want everyone to be on board with school meals because, as we know, it's delicious. And there's a lot of amazing folks, as our panelists, nodded to earlier, that work really hard and they're underseen most of the time. So lots of farmers, a lot of cafeteria workers. I want to make sure that their work is appreciated. That's why I spotlight all the things that's happening in cafeteria through food education, nutrition education, and whatnot. So very excited for you to see this video. You guys will see one of our Cali Q events. It's a California barbecue where we invite parents to come eat school lunch with their students. And we're out there outreaching to the parents, answering any questions that they might have. They go through the salad bar, they see our chefs in action, and they get to taste school food. So that's a really fun one. We host that about twice a week. And we also just launched a third event, a third weekly event with our food truck this past month as well as part of Farms to School Month. So we have 3 events a week to outreach to parents and the community. And also in the video, you'll see one of our field trip farms that I partner with. As a large urban school district, most of the farms that students can go to for field trips are outside of the city, outside of the urban landscape, but this is a farm that's right in the middle and right in the heart of San Diego. So I invite teachers here who participate in our farm to school programs, whether it's they always call me for assemblies every single year, they participate in our taste tests every year, or every month per se. And yeah, so it's just a way for me to incentivize teachers to get in touch with Farms to School and utilize the programs that I provide to them. And that's always a fun one because we talk about Harvest of the Month and they talk about composting, and they get to talk to a real farmer who's has a farm right next to the trolley station, right next to our soccer stadium, and it's right in the city. So it's really fun. I love that aspect of our farm that we partner with. So excited for you guys to see it, and I'll be sticking around as well if you guys need to contact me for any questions. Go ahead, Sunny.
Yeah, warning, this video will make you hungry. So also, yeah, and thanks for shouting out our awesome videographers, Red Squared out of Jackson, Mississippi. So if y'all need great videographers, be in touch. And Tomas, I'm gonna have you share our video. Thanks.
This event is called the Cali Q California Barbecue, and we've been hosting this for about 3 years now. They're getting their meal on a tray, they're going through the salad bar, seeing the options that their students have. We also have a parent engagement table where we're giving them the fruit that is our fruit of the month in the cafeteria with information inside about where their school food comes from.
Events like this are incredible. Anytime you get to bring families on campus to experience lunch or anything with their children at school are a time to build community, a time to connect with families, and a time to see the children, how happy they are to have their families here. So these events are wonderful, and we're super excited that we get to host one.
I really want my kids to know where their food's coming from. I think it's important. People are working hard to grow the food and pick the food and get it to the schools, and somebody is out here teaching my kids that it's healthy, and I just think that it's important for them to know the process of it and what it does for them.
My name is Janelle Manzano. I work with San Diego Unified Food and Nutrition Services, also known as Sandy Coast Cafe. My job is to do the Farm to School programming. I'm the Farm to School program specialist, and I do a lot of nutrition education and promotion for the kiddos and to the parents and community, and I get to work with a lot of amazing farmers as well.
Janelle has been our Farm to School program specialist for over 7 years. Just within the last year, she's provided over 100 different specialized events working with families, the community, our students, doing nutrition education, field trips to our make farms.
Our farm to school coordinator here in San Diego has been a thought partner, an advocate, a fan, a supporter. A farm to school program is the catalyst for so much good partnership and work to be done in the community.
We've actually implemented over 300 salad bars in our district within the last few years. It's increased our participation by a lot.
You can learn by how other crops grow, where they are growing, and you can have fun by experimenting with different flavors.
You can learn about different fruits and vegetables and that they're healthy and can help you grow and get stronger.
Without having a specialized person in this role, we wouldn't be able to apply for the certain grants that we get. We wouldn't be able to do all of these nutrition education classes and resources.
I don't think that we would have the information needed to be able to send out my weekly message to the kids about the salad bar spotlight or of the different things that are offered within the cafeteria.
All the people that are involved in the food system, whether it's the folks growing the food, the folks preparing the food, the folks menu planning, all of that. It's just nice to have the students really get in touch and be involved and learn about all the steps that it takes to feed them in our food system.
Having a farm to school coordinator implementing a farm to school program within a school district really is a good connection with our parents to build that trust, to know that we have someone specialized that can teach their students about where food comes from, about changing the narrative of what's served in a cafeteria. Make them bring this home to their families, share with the community on the good we can do and the healthy habits for life.
Dang, I loved that. That was a great video. Way to go, Janelle in San Diego. I think it's so clear every school district and community needs a farm to school coordinator now too. I'm going to pass it over to our policy director, Karen Spangler.
Thank you so much, Sunny. My name is Karen Spangler. I'm the policy director here at NFSN, and I have the joy of sharing a policy update with you today, just talking about what has happened, what's been accomplished, what you all been working on since the last time that we met for a movement meeting 1 year ago. And everything that I'm about to share, we could not have accomplished without our policy specialists, Ryan Betts and Cassandra Bull, our policy team. So I'm the talking head here today. But a lot of the work that you see is all because of our team. Go to the next slide. So I titled 2025, to summarize it, as grace under pressure, right? Creativity, bravery, dedication from the organizations that are working in this movement, right? So dealing with uncertainty in federal programs, looking at administrative cuts or freezes in a lot of the work that people have been doing, and new barriers, frankly, to some of the funding or programs. Also, there was a lot of work to try and mitigate or prevent some of the harms of sweeping legislative things like the reconciliation bill. And then, of course, currently, right now, the impasse at congressional appropriations has, again, led to a lot of uncertainty and potential impacts for nutrition programs and farmer serving programs, and the work that a lot of us in the movement are doing. So I put this image of a little ladder that we're going to scale up these challenges together because, next slide, really everyone has worked together in an unprecedented way to push back, working together to speak up. So on our press tracker, we had over 200 press mentions just that we found regarding the impacts of terminating local food for schools and the local food purchase assistance agreement, in addition to highlighting some of the impacts of the Farm to School Grant Program award cancellation earlier this year, and discussion of the impact of termination of SNAP Ed. So collectively, just through our action alerts, thousands of messages from advocates, from community members, from practitioners doing this work to policymakers. So that's calls, that's emails, that's letters to the editor, that's just personal stories, from you to your policymakers at every level. And for that, I think that amidst everything that's happened this year, the movement should feel extremely proud. And go to the next slide, because the pushing back, it works. We have some beacons. We were successfully able to prevent direct changes to things like the community eligibility provision in the reconciliation bill earlier this year. We've been able to call attention to some of the administrative actions in a way that shows that there's commitment to these programs. We have showed that there is demand. There is demand for what works. And we see continued commitment or new interest in federal proposals, like in response to the outcry for local food. Just recently, there's a Senate and in the House bills to support a new permanent local purchasing program. And so that wouldn't have happened. Oh, and of course, the release of a new Patrick Leahy Farm to School Grant RFA. None of that would have happened. None of that attention to this would have happened without all of the information and work that everyone has done this year. So I think that even in the face of everything that people have coped with, that's something to feel extremely proud of. I wanted to especially turn to the Patrick Leahy Farm to School Grant. If you go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, there we go. All right, this slide is really busy, but I decided it was okay because you're all really busy too. There's up to $18 million in funding through this award opportunity. So USDA combined the FY25 funding that it had held onto and the projected FY26 funding. So it's a big opportunity. It has a December 5th deadline. I saw a question in the chat earlier about whether we would expect USDA to extend the deadline. My advice is for us to proceed as if they will not, because that's not a guarantee. So I think definitely we want to encourage people to coordinate on ideas and move those forward as soon as possible for projects. The new project requirements, because there's going to be awards for larger projects with more partners. So the minimum award will be $100,000, and previously there had not been any minimum award. We have a blog post, that's the little snapshot here, that goes a little bit deeper into all of this information and some of the changes from the last RFA. So here I really encourage you to take action, specifically to check it out, to apply, get your applications together if you are somebody who is going to work on this, or to share the news, because again, we want to make sure that everybody who is interested in applying does apply, to help show again the demand and need for sustained and expanded accessible funding. All right. So not to forget state policy. We have seen in this year states step up as a really unique role for policy progress, and also, with increased pressure on state funding to fill the gaps. Thanks to the work from our team and our partners, we have an update of the State Farm to School Policy Handbook. So looking at policies from 2002 to 2023, and the growth of these kind of policies. So not just that you would think like, oh, can there be any more? But there's a third of all farm to school bills were introduced from 2021 to 2023. So an expansion of work and momentum in this area. I encourage you to go check that out. I encourage you to go check that out and to learn more. And then if you're interested in what's happened so far in 2025, I can go to the next slide. We have a really great update about what has been happening, what states have been doing so far this year. So again, even when states are coping with a lot of uncertainty or dealing with their own response to federal changes, more than 30 states have introduced more than 100 farm to school related bills, as well as bills aimed at expanding access to school meals. So a lot of these surrounded momentum for local purchasing and continuing to support or expand local purchasing, but also including school gardens and education and the really comprehensive pillars of farm to school and farm to early care and education. So it's really a unique time for states to be able to shine. So go to the next slide. My call to action here for you is to get involved, because we have actually, again, thanks to work from our team, a policy map that includes information on the current legislative sessions in your state. So you can see not just what has happened or what has been passed or not passed, but what might be currently introduced or otherwise at play, so that you can see what's happening in your state, in other states, and get connected with a National Farm to School Network partner in those states and get involved. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our next presenters, Jessica Goodmanson and Miguel Villarreal.
Thanks, Karen. I'm not sure if Jessica's having problems with her computer.
Miguel,
Jessica?
I think, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We can hear you and see you.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to thank you for joining us today at this incredible movement meeting. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to our guest speakers, to Zachariah, Duriel, Chris, Lauren, and Janelle. It's been a treat to listen to you, and we appreciate your expertise and your wisdom. I'd also like to thank the NFSN team for making this space possible. My name is Jessica Goodmanson. I am the co-executive director, along with Miguel Villarreal of the National Farm to School Network. I first joined the National Farm to School Network in 2005. That's when it was just forming. I had the privilege of watching this network grow from a handful of leaders to the movement that it is today. And I am here supported by the leadership that has come before me. It's my honor today, 20 years later, to close out this movement meeting with all of you. I'm going to turn it over to Miguel to introduce himself.
Thanks, Jessica. And yes, thank you all for joining us today. I was just looking at our number of participants. We still have over 100 participants here today. So glad that you stuck around for this to the very end. I'm coming from Northern California, from the land of the coastal Miwok. Daryl, I'm a former school food service director of 40 years. So you can imagine me spending time with those people that you mentioned, school food service employees. I think everything that I do today is because of what I learned from them. And so it was such a great time to be engaged in that effort. I'm also a former National Farm to School board member, and I'm currently the interim co-ED for the past 3 years alongside Jessica, which is, can you imagine? I mean, I've got the best job in the world and with the best team, honestly. Yes, I just want to say thank you to all of our speakers. This is my third movement meeting, and every year we seem to just top the previous one, and that it was evident, but with the great the speakers with their inspired stories, and I personally get inspired by listening to all of them. And it actually it takes me back to the time when I was a food service director. Hearing all of you. I mean, just saying, yes, I've worked with people just like yourselves. And so keep what you're doing, keep up what you're doing, because it's so important to this work. I just want to share with you also that the fact that we're connected and working together is the most important part of this moment. And I'm sharing this picture that are on our slide, whether it's two people, for example, in this instance, a co-leadership role alongside Jessica, or our small team. I mean, people are always surprised when they learn that we're only 12 to 13 employees in the National Farm School Network overseeing this incredible organization across the nation, or we're a part of this network. As you can see, this is our partners meeting in Minnesota. It's just so important that we all, really connect with each other, but also we know that we can do so much more when we work together, especially when we face change and challenges or the unknown, as all of us are currently experiencing at this moment. You've heard from several people acknowledging that. Knowing that we're there for each other always, 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 always gets us to the next level. And that's the importance of this network.
Co-leadership and collaboration are at the heart of this movement. As a network, we each have different strengths, expertises, roles, experiences, and positionality within the food system. We lift each other up, we help each other identify solutions, we share our different experiences, we innovate, and we help each other be successful in our respective roles and communities. And this is evident in NFSM's tagline, which is growing stronger together. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that right now, many of us are experiencing harsh realities. The significant and expansive loss of federal funding, including local foods for schools, SNAP Ed, and even the temporary elimination of the Farm to School grant program, means that farmers who lost contracts are struggling to cover their investments. Schools are not only worried about the future of local purchasing, but they're also worried about meal reimbursements as the shutdown continues to drag on. Organizations are forced to reinvent themselves to align with the changing funding landscape, and many are downsizing their workforce and their programming. It is not an understatement to acknowledge that many of us are being asked to do more with less. Suddenly, in addition to implementing our missions and the work that we know that improves people's lives, we are also trying to stay abreast of news alerts, assess new risks, and keep up with shifting compliance. Many leaders and workers are overextended and struggling while trying to maintain morale for themselves and be in support of each other. And for those of you who are able to continue your work without interruption because you are resourced and you have systems in place, we are relieved that you can help carry this movement forward. And as you do that, please consider how to bring others along with you. Think about ways that you can make space for collaboration and develop projects with others that may be struggling. Think about your resources, not just your funding, but also your relationships, your access to influence, your ability to champion and speak in support of this work, and leverage those assets for those that might need them. And most importantly, advocate for the success of your peers. We've heard so many great stories today. Continue to uplift those stories and value them. In this movement, we are not alone, and we can find strength in each other. Individual components may shift and look different, but as a movement, we work towards a common goal to transform communities through school food. I believe in the power of this movement to come together, to innovate, to adjust, and build a future that supports us all. Now is the time to reach out to each other, to advocate for each other, and help each other find and fill the gaps.
Thank you, Jessica. As you can see, this is why I've loved working alongside Jessica all these years. I mean, she's got so much wisdom. So thank you, Jessica, always, as always. The goal is to get everyone to the same pathway, to leverage each other's strengths, and to hold each other when we may struggle to find our own solution. NFSN has that space to forge that collective path, to create those opportunities to support, to problem solve, to innovate, and to present a powerful, unified voice. Our voice is strong. It's one of hope, determination, and resilience. This work transforms people's lives for the better. We've all have experienced that. It has proven to have the power to improve the health of families and communities. It uplifts farmers and values them and their contributions and their efforts. We may all have different roles to play in the food system, but when we come together in value aligned, the value of honoring people and planet, first, we create the world we know is needed and the world we want to live in. We truly thank you for being a part of this movement, for working to transform and put our communities first, and for being a leader in this space and for having the courage to step up in any circumstances, good and bad, good or bad. On that note, I hope that all of you that are still here and will be listening to this will join us at the National Farm to School Cafeteria Conference. So we can get the next slide. Yes, thank you. That's scheduled for December 2nd through the 4th. I already know that our speakers are going to be there and some others as well. So I'm so looking forward to meeting them in person. But your voice, all of your voices and your participation, and more importantly, your presence matters and is an important part of us growing stronger together. So thank you so much to all of you. Tricia, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Wow, thank you so much, Jessica and Miguel. We're so lucky to be led by the both of you. All right, next slide. If you haven't joined our network already, this is one of our public events for the movement meeting. Please consider joining the National Farm to School Network and become a partner organization by scanning the QR code in front of you. We are a growing movement. When I first joined the National Farm to School Network in late 2021, we were only at about 200 partners, and now we're at 550 partner organizations and continuing to grow. And I honestly just get so inspired by so many of you every single day. And the panel, Zach earlier, is just a prime example of what that looks like. So yeah, please join the network. You will get connected with so many different practitioners, farmers, producers, advocates of the farm to school movement across the country, including US territories and sovereign nations. So please join the network. I will share the link in the chat as well if you are unable to scan the QR code. Otherwise, next slide. We would love to hear from you. So here, and if you're not following us on social media already, we have our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Please follow us and stay tuned. We have lots of resources coming out through those social media platforms as well. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at info@farmtoschool.org. Thank you for joining us today. And last but not least, we'd love to hear from you. If you have any reflections or things you want to share, anything you learned from the movement meeting today, please share your feedback with us. And if you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see for next year's movement meeting, you're welcome to share your ideas and feedback on that as well. With that, thank you all so much for sticking around, and we'll see you at the conference in New Mexico. Thank you.